Hey guys, it's Lauren Z, and I'm back after my last video from 2.5 months ago when I did my what am I packing for my birth center bag. And so I ended up giving birth like a couple of days after that at the birth center, and now it's been 2.5 months, and so here I am. So I figured I'd give you a quick little recap on how wonderful the birth center experience was, and just so you kind of know how it went. And for those people who are interested in giving birth at a birth center, can kind of get like a little insight on how it all went down. So as I have posted in a video, I don't know, like months and months and months ago on my hospital birth experience, if you want to go reference and watch that video, you can get an idea of like how tragic I personally felt the hospital experience was, and that's what really motivated me to want to give birth at a birth center. So anyways, I met my actual midwife like honestly barely maybe 10 weeks before I actually gave birth. I had insurance issues when I got pregnant, and then at about maybe 25 weeks I met with one midwife who I didn't really vibe well with. I didn't really like her way of, I guess, coaching me, so I ditched her, and then I went to a second midwife who was also like super scare tactical. Like every situation that was going on during my pregnancy, for them it was like the end of the world type of situation, and they read my lab results wrong and all that. So then I finally met, third time's a charm, my midwife. Her name's Tammy Stokes out of Yucaipa. And I called her as I was like in traffic in the car, and she had like the greatest over the phone personality. I totally thought we would get along great. She was super peppy and like just really amazing. And so I met with her, totally clicked. I knew she was the one, and 10 weeks later I gave birth at her birth center. So I'll just fast forward to the day I gave birth. It was 9 o'clock at night, and I started getting these like stomach cramps, and I was thinking, oh man, I must have food poisoning, because my due date was still like 3 or 4 days away. And I was like, gosh, my stomach pains hurt really bad. And at this point I was sleeping in a spare bedroom because the mattress is a lot more comfortable, and Jason was sleeping here in our master bedroom. And so for like 2 hours I sat in my room just holding my stomach in a lot of pain, and then around midnight the pain was so bad I figured, okay, well, I don't know if I should call my midwife because it might be a false alarm. I would hate for her to drive down to the birth center at 1 in the morning if I'm not seriously going to have this baby. So I took a shower, and the cramps got worse and worse and worse, and then finally I was like, you know what, these are definitely contractions and the baby's coming soon. So I woke Jason up, and I still wasn't 100% sure if I should call my midwife yet. And now it was about, I think, almost 2 in the morning, and I was just like running in circles around my living room over and over and over, just running and running, holding my stomach, until finally I knew I was about to start throwing up because the pain was so bad. So I just texted my midwife and said, hey, it's serious, I think I'm going to have a baby now. And she was like, perfect, come to the birth center now, we already have another mom in labor. I was like, oh, awesome, because I didn't want to be a nuisance. I didn't want to just like call her to the birth center at 2 in the morning if it wasn't going to be the real deal. But luckily she was already at the birth center with another mom, because there's 2 bedrooms there, who was in labor. So we started packing up Nicola, who was dead asleep in the car, and as I was walking out to the car, I started throwing up like all over the grass in the front yard. I couldn't even really sit in the car. The car ride was less than 5 minutes away to the birth center here in Yucaipa, and when I showed up, it was awesome. Like, they didn't expect a conversation out of me. They knew I was in like extreme labor, and they just smiled and welcomed me in, showed me to the room, and let me do my own thing. I really couldn't conversate or talk. All this like preparing for giving birth at the birth center went out the window, like in regards to bringing snacks and drinks and like what to wear. None of that mattered. I had already been having contractions for, I think, 4 hours or so. I don't know, from 9 o'clock to 2 in the morning. I don't know, you could do the math. But basically I got to her place at like 2:30 in the morning, and I mean, I basically was just in my own world. I kept drinking lots of water. I would go to the restroom to go pee. And this is funny. I'll just go ahead and show you exactly how I was going through my labor pains. I'm a visual person. My stomach was hurting so bad, and my contractions were lasting about 2 minutes long with like a minute in between for like peace. And so within those 2 minutes of horrible contractions, I remember I was walking around my little birth center room like crazy. And once the contractions would finally hit, I would just go like this with my pillow and then like scream bloody murder for those 2 seconds, or those 2 minutes into my pillow. And then I would get my 1 minute relaxing. I would just kind of like hop around and bounce and bounce and bounce. And then a contraction would come. I'd get back to my position on the bed, fold over and start screaming into my pillow. And that lasted an hour and a half. And my midwife and her team would come periodically check in on me. They knew I wasn't like in a conversation mode, so there wasn't much to say. They would just say, "You're doing great, keep breathing," because it was really painful. You don't get any pain medication, which I didn't want anyways, but it was really painful, so I would just go scream. And it started getting like more intense. Like it started getting to my climax of pain, which they were like listening from the other room. They knew exactly like when to come. And I remember at like my breaking point, because I could feel the baby like getting lower and lower, and just like, I can't describe the pain. It's like a horrible cramp, but it's like a horrible cramp. That's the only way I can say it. I guess like you feel like your ribs are expanding or your bones are breaking. Now in retrospect, it's been 2.5 months. I really can't describe the pain. I probably should have talked about this a lot sooner. But at no point did I think, I need to go to the hospital, like emergency, like this pain is too much. I never thought that. I just was at the point where I was like, this baby needs to come out immediately. Like I can't handle this pain any longer. The baby needs to come out. That's what I was thinking. But it was so wonderful when Brittany, my midwife's daughter, who's also her assistant, came in to tell me like, no, you can do this, Lauren, just keep breathing, like you're almost there. So I was like, yeah, I know, but I'm in a lot of pain type of thing, but I couldn't really talk. So at my final climax of like screaming, they came in and they're like, all right, you know what, time to get on the bed because we're going to start pushing this baby out. So I climbed on the bed and was doing like my hands and knees thing while I was screaming during my contractions, like 2 minutes of just screaming and like really pushing and pushing and pushing. And then, it got to the point where I couldn't even really hold myself up on my hands and knees. So Jason came on the other side of the bed and I just like put my arms around his neck and was just like grabbing him as hard as I could and just like going, like, he said it sounded really funny to him because he thought like I was having pleasure out of the situation because I was like kind of like moaning his name during the pushing of the baby. But no, it wasn't pleasurable, but then like in a weird freaky kind of way, I guess it kind of was pleasurable because I knew that the pain was going to be ending really soon and the baby was going to be coming out. So I think I pushed for like a short period and they told me to get on my back, which I was like, no, I can't. Like I'm in too much pain. I want to get on my hands. And he's like, no, Lauren, you need to get on your back and like twist. So I got on my back and I was just pushing and pushing and I felt like this big like explosion. I remember my reaction was, what the heck was that? And they're like, the baby's head came out. Like the water broke at the same time the baby's head came out. And so they helped me with a couple more pushes. Little baby came out and it was like over. And of course me and Jason waited till the day the baby was born to find out the sex. So it didn't cross my mind once the baby was out to like find out the sex. They were kind of like checking him out and I guess they had to bring in some sort of like pumping breather thing because during the pregnancy no one knew, none of the doctors or ultrasounds or anything like that knew that he had a knot in his umbilical cord. So when they pulled him out, I guess, I don't know, he just needed like some oxygen or something. It was nothing serious, but they handled it and they gave me him and he's a baby boy. Which I was totally shocked because I seriously thought I was having a girl the whole pregnancy. I even went out and bought girl clothes because I was like almost 100% sure it was going to be a girl. But he was a boy, which I'm so happy because now I have 2 boys. And after that moment, that's when all like the pain passed, the happiness that the baby was just born passed, and then boom, like the shock started hitting me. I didn't really know what was happening because I didn't really know the science of giving birth. All I knew was that I felt like my life was slipping away. My midwife told me that I was having like a drop in hormones, so my body was kind of going through a shock. I remember I was like shivering. I was freezing cold. I could hardly talk. I could hardly breathe. My midwife said, oh, honey, you're hemorrhaging, so I'm going to give you, I don't know, I think it was like a shot or a Band-Aid. I have no idea what it was. But in my mind, I thought hemorrhaging meant you're bleeding to death and you're going to die. So I remember my like visual memory I was Rose and Jason was Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic, and I was just floating in ice water, hanging on to that little piece of door or raft or whatever they were on, dying. And this like thought in my head was actually really peaceful. I mean, I wasn't really scared. There was no fear. It wasn't like a negative thing. It was just like this near-death experience where I was just kind of like floating and drifting away. And I remember they brought me some blankets and a heater, and that whole like moment totally like cleared up, and I was like back to reality. And this is where like the birthing part kind of got gross, which I'm just telling you like it is, just so you know. After that whole thing passed, again, it was only like 2 hours at the birth center, I had to use the restroom, but I really couldn't stand up and walk. So my midwife had to bring me like a little portable toilet, and she had to like carry me and like put me on the toilet while I used the restroom, which I've never used the restroom in front of people in my entire life. Like, that's been a nightmare of mine. I've had nightmares of having to use the restroom in front of people. So I went through that, and as embarrassing as it wasn't that bad because my midwife is a professional. She's done it before. So anyway, she took care of that. She helped me back off the toilet. She helped dress me. She helped put like the pad on the little underwear thing and like dress me. And I laid back in bed with a bunch of blankets with the baby, and he latched on and started breastfeeding right away. He's like really purple and like swollen looking. His eyes just, he didn't really look like a normal plump baby. He looked kind of like, you know, super swollen. And we didn't know what to name him. We picked his name a couple days later. But yeah, my husband Jason is a hardcore workaholic, and he had an appointment that morning. I ended up giving birth at, I think, 5:09 a.m. and Jason had an appointment at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I only really had like 2 hours to chill at the birth center before he wanted to leave for his appointment at, like, he had to go home and get dressed and take a shower at 7 a.m. So my options were stay at the birth center until he was done with his appointment, which could have been till maybe 12 in the afternoon, or just go home and relax there. So I ended up staying like the necessary amount of time there at the birth center that my midwife allowed. She saw that I was fine. I wasn't like bleeding. I felt healthy. I was back to normal. And so I think after like 2.5 hours or 3 hours max, Jason took me home with the baby, and we just laid in our bed and breastfed. And I really couldn't sleep because, I don't know, I had like a newborn baby. It was just a couple, you know, hours old. And he came home around 12 or 1 o'clock, and we put the baby in the car seat, and we went out to lunch, and we did some shopping because we're remodeling our house, and we just relaxed. So at the end of the day, it was an amazing experience. If I do have the blessing of getting pregnant again and have another baby, I no doubt about it want to go back to the birth center, and back with Tammy specifically, because it was just so awesome. If you're healthy and you can do it and you can understand, yes, there's going to be pain, but it's more of like, I don't know, I can't explain the pain. It wasn't like a horrible pain. It was like a traumatic pain. It was just like, I'm having a baby and he's coming out and I'm feeling every single inch. So the video went a little longer than I expected, but I just wanted to just say it. So even if no one watches this, in 10 years from now, I could look back and just see how happy I was when I gave birth to my baby. Oh, and by the way, his name's Uriah. Well, thanks for watching my video. If you're interested in giving birth at a birth center, you can comment, make a message me. Like, I love talking about it. I wish I could talk about it all day, every day. Whenever I come across people and I get the opportunity to tell them about how I gave birth at the birth center, I just start glowing and laughing because it was so amazing. But anyways, thanks for watching my video. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I would love to talk to you, and yeah, thank you.